In this Metroidvania-style game, you play as a slithering mess of a monster, which reminds me of all the best parts of John Carpenter's The Thing. Body horror. Tentacles everywhere. Red, as though you were born in blood and will never stop feeding. You have no name. You care for nothing but destruction and growth. The humans who tried to contain you have nothing that can stop you from tearing them asunder as their limp corpses litter the ground, ready for your consumption. You will consume, and you will grow. And as you grow, you will grow in power, and you'll become too strong to stop. Published by Devolver Digital and developed by Phobia Games Studio, the first thing you'll notice in Carrion is that you always feel powerful. That feeling never stops, and it starts at the most fundamental level of game design. And that is, of course, movement. In other games in the genre, you'd be restricted to walking. Boring. Samus, boring. Too much walking. Alucard, too much walking. The monster doesn't have time to walk. It's too busy using its endless tentacly appendages to throw itself around at incredible speeds using underground tunnels. Just look at this. I've never played a game that controls like this before. You can simply push in any direction and watch your whole body mass weave and worm its way through the environment. This might be one of the best feelings of speed in a platformer I've ever seen. Well, that is most of the time. It's so clear that the developers poured so much love into the movement and the feeling of moving in this game that it's a total buzzkill when you hit these, thankfully short, sequences where you have to play as a human. Back to the monster stuff. Keeping in the theme of the game, your UI only really displays two major elements: abilities and health. Monsters don't need a map apparently, though as someone who got lost in this game a handful of times, I think my stupid human brain does need a map. I'd rather have been able to toggle into a map for half a second the 3 times I needed one, rather than wander back and forth endlessly looking for the next hole I need to infest. And yeah, that's how you move from area to area in Carrion, by infesting and spreading through this underground base. Sometimes this gives you a simple save point, and other times, reaching infestation points will break down walls and give you easier paths around the base. The more you explore your environment, the more upgrades you'll discover, and allow for easier navigation through the world. As you crawl through the world, you'll also start to grow. But you'll quickly learn that bigger isn't always better. While you won't find your movement restricted by growth, as you might expect, you only have access to certain abilities as long as you're a certain size. All of your abilities are useful both in and out of combat. As an example, an early ability you get is a sticky web shot. You can use this both to pin down enemies from afar, as well as to activate switches through narrow passageways. Later, you'll get abilities to dash and slam through enemies, which also serves to break open certain walls. Because the abilities you have at your disposal are all based on the level of health you have, you can use what I'll refer to as spawning pools to deposit your biomass in order to tactfully gain access to your lower level abilities. This comes in handy all the time, as while the game doesn't rely on heavy backtracking like a lot of other Metroidvania games, you'll often run into little puzzles where you need a lower level ability to make things work. When you start Carrion, you'll be ripping and tearing through unarmed humans and pocket protector wearing scientists. But as you progress, you'll quickly begin to come face to face with the well-armed military personnel. Flamethrowers and shield-wielding grunts, mechs, and turrets will all start to focus you down and chip away at your mass, causing wormy tendrils to shoot off your body. Despite how formidable they might sound, I never had a problem easily dispatching the enemies in the game, but I don't see this as a criticism, because it's good to feel powerful all the way through, and even when you take a bit of damage, it doesn't last long, as you consume the corpses of your fallen enemies. As mentioned before, you'll have a lot of great abilities to use in these combat situations. One of my personal favorites is the ability to take over any human you encounter. This can lead to some great little moments if you keep your eyes open for tactful advantages. Now, speaking on the sound design, the sound design in this game rules. The music is uncomfortable and keeps you on edge the whole time. Hearing the wet, slopping sounds of your flesh is a delight. I think this game is the perfect example of how to create a really great atmosphere with sound design alone. And while I do love the sound design in this game, I almost want to sit down and replay it with some extreme death metal on, just to set the tone right. You know, just for me. Carrion is short, but I think it should be short. Not every game needs to be a 40-hour grind. I finished this game in about 4 hours, even while getting stuck in a few sections where I couldn't figure out where to go. There's a story here, but I can't say too much without spoiling anything. All you need to know is that you're a monster who is currently in, and you want to be out. Carrion is awesome. It's a tight, condensed power trip of a game, and it's a thrill pretty much beginning to end. I would highly recommend you go check it out. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you like what you saw, why don't you hit that like button? If you want to see more, why don't you subscribe? Then you'll get all kinds of content that I'm going to be putting out over the next little while. If you want to check me out live, I stream sometimes on Twitch. If you go and you follow me, you'll get notifications when I go live. Well, that's all I got for now, so stay tuned. There's more coming. Oingo out.